Thanks for staying with us. The sudden resignation of Justice Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed on health grounds as the Chief Justice of Nigeria in June 2022 occurred after a leaked letter revealed allegations of corruption, neglect, and mismanagement leveled against him by other justices led by the second most senior justice, Olukayode Ariwola. Kemi Foladeyemo tells us more in a review of some of the major events in the judicial sector in the year 2022.
President Muhammadu Buhari swore in Justice Olukayode Ariwola in October as a substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. Justice Ariwola is the 17th Nigerian CJN since 1958. He promises to pursue reforms at the Apex Court through quicker justice delivery, funding, and administration, as well as in welfare of judicial officers and staff.
A functional judiciary is all we want. A judiciary that is made up of men and women of integrity who would say it the way it is. No matter how highly placed you are, if you come before that judiciary, you must respect the law. You must bow down to the supremacy of law. The rule of law must be allowed to prevail. The judgment of the court must be obeyed.
Now that we've now had a review of the welfare packages and the salaries of the Supreme Court, we hope that it should trickle down the line to state high courts and as well to the lower courts. This is very important that we ensure the independence of judiciary and they are not starved of funds.
But the new CJN stirred up controversy in November over his alleged comments at a state function in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, where he was accused of partisanship over his state governor, Seyi Makinde, being among the PDP's G5 governors, otherwise called the Integrity Group. Though the Supreme Court's Director of Information and Press, Festus Akonde, denies the CJN made such political comments, insisting Justice Ariwola's presence at that event was solely to commission 2 judiciary projects undertaken by the Rivers State government. Some groups have called for his removal.
The CJN's position is very dicey, as we can see, his public appearance with some people saying some specific things that people believe he shouldn't have said, and it triggers a lot of negativity amongst people as to the independence and the neutrality of the judiciary in the coming elections.
Between November the 9th and December the 1st, 3 federal high courts sentenced the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Inspector General of Police, and the Chief of Army Staff to varying jail terms for disobeying their orders in cases filed by some Nigerians. A fresh action has now been filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja, seeking to compel President Muhammadu Buhari to immediately sack the Chief of Army Staff, General Farouk Yahya, following his conviction. The courts have also vacated the committal to prison orders issued against the EFCC's Abdul Rashid Bawa and the police boss Usman Baba after it was shown that they had substantially complied with the court's orders.
You may think it is not enforceable because the IG has been asked to be sent to prison. Who will enforce it? The police, is it not? But for the fact that he's going to answer ex-convict for the rest of his life, that will make him not to be politically relevant in the country, is enough deterrent. It make him to go and comply with the order of the court.
Typical of the eve of major election years, the court played a key role in determining election-related disputes in 2022, with more than 1,000 pre-election matters before the Federal High Court alone, raising concerns on its impact in the country's democracy.
We cannot place our hope on the judiciary. Elections should hold at the polling unit and determined by the mandate of the people. And that means we must come out with a system that guarantees free and fair electoral process at the polling unit.
2022 was also a big year for the prosecution of gender and sexual crimes. In May, a Danish citizen, Peter Nielsen, was sentenced to death by hanging at the Lagos High Court sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square Annex after Justice Bolanle Okikiolu found him guilty of the murders of his Nigerian partner, Zainab, and their daughter, Petra. In August, an Akwa Ibom State High Court in Uyo sentenced 21-year-old Udwak Akpan to death by hanging for the murder of a young job seeker in Iobongo Moran. She was 26. Trial judge Basi Nkanang also sentenced him to life imprisonment for the sexual abuse of his victim. In July, Justice Oluwatoyin Taiwo of the Lagos State Sexual Offences Court sentenced actor Olanrewaju James, also called Baba Ijesha, to a 5-year concurrent term after he was convicted for the alleged offences of sexual assault and indecent treatment of a child. There are more landmark judgments in the year under review. In February and September, Justice Hakeem Oshodi of the Lagos State High Court and Justice Oluwatoyin Taiwo of the Special Offences Court, both sitting in Ikeja, handed down a life imprisonment and a 21-year jail term respectively on kidnap kingpin Chukwudimeme Onwamadike, Elias Evans and his accomplices. They have 3 more pending cases involving other alleged victims in court. In December, former Director General of the Labour Party's Presidential Campaign Council, Donyo Kukwe, was found guilty of receiving more than 200 million naira cash from former National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki. He was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment with an option of a fine, which he has paid. Also in 2022, the Nigerian Bar Association made news as the Olumide Akpata presidency ended. Yakubu Mekiao, a senior advocate of Nigeria, took over and pressed on from his successor with calls on the former NBA president, Wole Olanikpekun, SAN, to recuse himself as chairman of the body of benchers. The arm tasked with a formal call to the bar of successful candidates, as well as the discipline of erring lawyers in Nigeria. The bar is divided on the ethical issue, which alleges that the BOB chairman influences judges to deliver favorable judgments for his cases.
Complainants, whoever complained about the infraction from the law firm of Chief Wole Olanikpekun, should be the one pursuing the agenda. When you now have the MBA taking a particular side of a law firm to start to get involved and start to be the one championing a specific cause of the complainant, then it leaves much to be desired, because there are many complainants and many issues before the LPDC that the national body haven't backed up, or neither have they been involved in.
So I have this absolute faith that Michael, the senior advocate, who's the president of the bar, is equal to the task. And then I also know that Mr. Olanikpekun is a very highly respected, legal practitioner, one of the foremost in the country, and has been the president of the bar before. That he also will ensure that the right thing is done at the end of the day, so that there won't be any, dissipation of energy unnecessarily, even when we can handle this internally without raising uproar.
It is expected that as courts prepare for 2023, they will live up to their sacred duty to execute justice fairly and be given true independence. Kemi Foladeyemo, TVC News, Lagos.